StraighTAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is, go get an energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is addition by subtraction. How can we actually advance by removing some things? That's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, let me tell everybody that I send out a text message every morning for free to everyone who's in my text community. A message guaranteed to have you at least start your day being focused, sharp, and on point. You want to receive this message, I call it the daily motivation. All you got to do to get it is text me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And every morning when that text goes out, as a member of my text community, you will be receiving it. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the place where you get to work with me directly. So if you've been following this material for some time, you want to work with me, you think I would be a good coach for you, you think the frameworks, you don't think, you know, frameworks that I lay out here when it comes to mindset, strategy, systems, and execution could help you get your personal life, your business life, your career, and everything in between, whatever else in there that I didn't mention, all on the track that you wanted to be on, and keep it on that track, not get there, but stay there. All you got to do is join Work on Your Game University. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. It's very simple. What the next step is right there on that page. So just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, which is linked down below in the description or show notes, wherever you are consuming this. Now, getting into the topic, addition by subtraction. So today's masterclass is about how you can improve, get better, and move forward faster by actually doing and thinking about and being committed to less things, fewer things, rather than more things. Something that I have often emphasized to people is that when you are looking to advance and move forward, assuming that you have a baseline level of skills, it's not that you need to find more things to do. It's actually that you need to be doing fewer things and just get better at a few things rather than getting better or adding on a whole bunch of other things just to add them on, because that's usually what ends up happening. You add them on with the intention of, this is going to make me better, but what you end up doing really is adding things on just because you feel like you need to be doing more stuff. I was actually just talking to someone in one of my group programs and Work on Your Game University yesterday, and this person was saying, well, I have some additional resources. Specifically, they were talking about time and attention. What can I do with this time and attention so I can move forward and get better? Should I? They were looking for me or anyone else who was on the call to throw them some things that they could add on to what they are already doing, so they could improve themselves and move themselves forward. This is actually a false question. This is not usually what you need to do. Again, assuming that you have a baseline level of ability. Now, if you don't have a baseline level of ability, then maybe there are some extra things you could be doing. If you're an athlete playing basketball, for example, you don't know how to make a layup with both your left hand and with your right hand, then you can work on that. That's an extra thing that you can add on. Or you can shoot a jump shot when somebody passes you the ball, but you can't shoot a jump shot off the dribble, then maybe you can add that on as something you can do. Or if you're a good player, but you're not in good cardiovascular shape, and getting in shape would help you be a better player, which it would, then you can add that on. But assuming that you have some baseline levels of skills, what you need to do is not look for more things to add on. What you need to look for are some things to get rid of, number one, and then that you have the additional resources now available because you got rid of a bunch of stuff. Now you fill that gap by getting better at the things that are actually producing the results. There's another form of the 80-20 principle, Pareto's principle, which states that 80% of our results come from 20% of our inputs. So let's talk about it. Point number one. First, and the topic again today is addition by subtraction. First thing you want to do is identify your big dominoes, or your big domino if there's only one. What is the big domino? The big domino is the main thing that moves everything else. Once you have identified your big domino, whatever it is, you can go deeper into the investments that you make into or you can eliminate rather the investments that you make into all the little dominoes and just go deeper into the big domino. All right, that's the purpose of knowing what the big domino is. So what do I mean by the big domino? The big domino, for example, can be, what is the one thing that if you're trying to sell a product or a service and it has 37 features, what's the one feature that your prospect actually wants that will make them want to purchase your product or service? It's usually not all 37 features that gets them to buy. It's usually one main thing that they specifically want. That's what you need to emphasize and talk about. What's the one thing that you need to know about before you make a decision to buy or invest with something? Usually it's one specific thing you're looking for. It's not every single piece of whatever is being offered to you. And this is a challenge that many salespeople have, is they focus on way too many elements of whatever it is that you're offering, when the person that you're talking to doesn't really care about all the elements. It's not that the elements aren't useful and not that they can't be good, but it's just that they don't need them. Now, what they need is, what's the main thing? You need to know what that big domino is. So it's your job as a salesperson to figure out and uncover what the big domino is, anybody that you're talking to when you're selling. Or if you're selling through, let's say, a website, something that's stagnant and you're not having a dynamic conversation, then you need to list out everything that is a piece of what you're offering, so that whoever comes across your web page, for example, or your sales video, they see the thing that they need to see that allows them to make a purchasing decision. That's the big domino for them. It's harder when you're doing it with something that's stagnant like a web page, because you have to hope that they actually read it and see the thing that you're pointing out. Whereas in a one-on-one conversation, let's say with a person, you can choose to just focus on one piece, and you don't even have to talk about every piece of what you're offering. For example, in Work on Your Game University, there are a lot of pieces inside that university, but when I'm talking to someone, I don't emphasize every single piece in the university, because first of all, the conversation would be very long if I emphasized everything that's in there and everything that it did. And the other reason why I don't emphasize, or I don't even point out everything that's inside the university, another reason is, well, you'll see it once you get in. And another reason is, whoever I'm talking to, I find out what they specifically need. So if you come talk to me about Work on Your Game University, I'm gonna tell you up front, I'm not gonna tell you about every single piece that's in there, because you don't need to know about every piece that's in there in order to make a decision about whether or not you're gonna join the university or not. Once you get in, you'll see everything that's in there. What I'm gonna talk about, and I wanna focus our conversation on, is what's the thing that's in there that you specifically need, and I'm only going to know that by the conversation that I have with you. So when I see what you're talking about, I'm going to emphasize the thing that I know that you need based on the challenges or the desires that you're sharing with me. That's the big domino. Everybody understand? So once you identify the big domino, and the big domino, if you understand, this is dynamic. It's different from situation to situation, from person to person. Once you identify the big domino, you can eliminate your investments that you're making into all the little dominoes and just focus on the big domino. Because when you knock down the big domino, all the little stuff, the little dominoes, get knocked down automatically. And if you have actually played dominoes, which I don't, but any of you have actually played dominoes, you know that most of the time you're playing dominoes, the dominoes are all the same size. But what if there was one big domino that was 10 times bigger than all the other dominoes? You understand, just picturing this, if you knock down that one big one, all the other ones will probably fall down just from the vibration of the big one falling down. That's the concept of the big domino. So doing more of one thing eliminates the need for you doing a whole lot of many other things. So if you do more of one thing, that can eliminate the need for you to do even one of 10 other things. I'll give you another example. If you have a bunch of products for sale, let's say you got products that are $5, you got some $50 products, you got some $97 product, then you got one product that costs $5,000. So you got a $5 product, you got some $50 products, you got some products at the $97 price point, then you have one product that costs $5,000. If you were to just sell more, or even not even more, let's back up. You were to sell just one of the $5,000 product, that makes up for you selling 20 of the $50 products, right? Or 10 of the $97 product, or 100 of the $5 product. So the $5,000 product is the big domino. If your goal is, assuming your goal is to make money, you should focus on selling the $5,000 product, because if you make 10 sales of a $5,000 product, well, 10 times 5,000 is $50,000. How many sales would you need to make of a $50 product in order to make $50,000? How many sales of a $5 product? How many sales of a $97 product? This is what I mean by the big domino. You need to, first of all, figure out what's the outcome you're trying to achieve, and then what is the shortest possible route to me getting there? In other words, what's the fewest number of inputs that I need to give in order to get that outcome? So my goal is to make $10,000. Fastest way to do it is to sell 2 copies of my $5,000 product, rather than try to sell 2,000 copies of my $5 product. Get it? Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is addition by subtraction. Number 2, apply this way of thinking to your mindset as well. This is not just for things that are tangible. For example, I've written 33 books. Now, I used to focus a lot on selling books. But now, if you listen to this show over the last year, you notice that I focus a lot more now on getting people into Work on Your Game University. Why do I do this? Well, inside the university, you're going to learn not only more of what is inside of my books, not that you can't buy the books anymore, but you're going to learn a lot of the stuff that's in the books you'll learn as a member of the university. But you're going to learn a whole lot more in addition to that. Getting one person into Work on Your Game University for me is worth more than getting 100 people to order one of my books. And as a business owner, that makes more sense for me. It's also less work for me, and there's less churn. Churn meaning if I wanted to make an X number of dollars, there's a certain number of books that I would have to sell, and every time I make a sale of a book, there's a different person I got to deal with. There's a different customer. There's a different order number. There's a different shipment. There's a different possibility for something going wrong. Somebody missing their tracking number, a shipment getting lost, somebody saying they didn't get their product. Whatever happens, the more transactions you do, the more possibilities for these issues could possibly come up. The more transactions you do. If you have fewer transactions to make the exact same amount of money, there's less possibilities. There's less possibility for that kind of thing happening. So this is where fewer customers but higher prices actually make the job a whole lot easier for you as a business and make a whole lot easier for you as a salesperson. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to do this. You just have to decide how you want to set up your business. There are different models of business that you can run. I have an episode where I talked about business models. Let me give you that episode just in case any of you want to go back and listen. You can get these all at workonyourgamepodcast.com, by the way. All the all the episodes of the show. How to clarify your business model is episode 2495, by the way. So anyone who wants to listen to that is at workonyourgamepodcast.com, episode 2495. So as a business owner, it makes more sense for me to do it that way. There's less work for me, but that's just me. You need to know what works for your business. So because I understand this, I can spend more time doing something that produces a higher return on investment. This also applies if you're in sales. Most of the time we make financial decisions is not because, as I said earlier, it's not because of 18 different features of a product. It's because of one specific thing in that product that we want. Your job as a salesperson is to know what that one thing is for the person you're talking to and focus on that, ignoring everything else, because they don't care about everything else. They still get it, but that's not what's going to make them decide to buy from you. So you need to focus on the thing that's actually going to make them buy, which is the whole point of the conversation in the first place. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is addition by subtraction. Number 3, there are some things that we have accustomed ourselves to doing that we don't actually want to do, don't like to do, are not good at doing, and do not really produce great results for us. The question is, do we really need to be doing them? Anything that fits that description, do you really need to be doing those things? This is a question you should be asking on a regular basis, just to make sure you're not doing work just by routine, habit, and make sure that the things that you are forcing yourself to do, the stuff that may not be so hard for you, the stuff that I would put under the umbrella of any of you who has read my books. I wrote a book called The Third Day where I talked about this, things that you have to do that, or need to get done, and you're responsible for them, but you may not be that excited about them. Maybe some of the things you're doing in those moments that you call the third day, maybe you just don't need to be doing them. Maybe they're just not that important to the bottom line of your business. And if you were to look at it and ask yourself, all right, how big of a domino is this thing? How much does this thing contribute to the bottom line of what it is that I'm doing? You ask yourself that question, maybe some things you can simply eliminate. Hey, maybe I don't need to do this at all anymore. Maybe this is not even necessary in my process anymore. Do I really need to do this thing? I don't want to do it. I don't like it. I'm not good at it. It doesn't really produce great results for me. Usually if all of those are true, you probably don't need to be doing that thing. If it's not producing results, then you absolutely don't do it, because you got to remember, we're in a performance and a results-based business. So anything you're doing is not producing a result. What's the point of you doing it? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it just out of habit? Are you doing it out of obligation? Are you doing it just because you've always done it and you haven't thought twice about it? That would be more of that habit thing. You just haven't gotten conscious about whether this makes sense or not. You need to be looking at these things. I talked about this in my book, Work on Your Game. that every day your habits, you need to be examining them as if they're employees getting their employee reviews. And employee review day is every day when you're dealing with your habits, because your habits are making up your life. And your life, you only get one of those. You can get a new job, you can start a new business, you cannot get a new life. So you need to be paying attention to your habits, because your habits are basically producing all the outcomes or lack of outcomes in your life. Whatever you like about it, whatever you don't like about it, is based on your habits. So you should always be looking at, is this producing the result that I want? So anything you don't want to do, don't like to do, not good at doing, is not producing the result. Do you need to keep doing it? Probably not. Ask yourself this on a regular basis to make sure you are not just doing stuff just to say that you do it. Also, when you start asking yourself this, you'll find that you can free up resources by eliminating things that you have continually done by force of habit but are not actually effective. Let's see, effective means something that's helping you get to your desired outcome. Anything that you're doing by habit, that may just be something you've done so many times that it just becomes normal to do it, and you do it without thinking twice about it. You're not consciously thinking about it. You can just do it. But some of your habits, again, may be ineffective. In other words, you're doing them, but they're not actually getting you anywhere, changing your situation in any way, shape, or form. You're just doing it because you're so used to it. So this is why we got to get conscious about the unconscious, because habits are unconscious. When we get conscious about the unconscious, then we can change some habits that, again, may have become routine and normal to us, but are not actually moving us where we want to go. And this is a tragedy of human life, when we continually keep doing things that are not actually helping us, but because we're not conscious about them, they're habits, and habits are unconscious, we don't even realize that we're doing something that we don't even need to be doing. And then we're like, damn, I'm spending all this time doing this thing, but what is it actually doing for me? It's not doing anything for me, but I'm doing it over and over again. As soon as you become aware of these things, you can start making some real changes in your life that will actually help increase your effectiveness, whereas you can actually lower, believe it or not, your level of productivity, because you will be producing less of the stuff that doesn't matter. You can produce more of the stuff that does matter, but the stuff that does matter, there are fewer elements to it. So your productivity doesn't have to be as high, because you're doing fewer things, but a higher level work. So you're more effective, even though you are technically less productive. You see how that works? But if you look around, and some of you are guilty of this, especially with Americans, especially in Western society, you hear from a lot of people who are always endlessly pursuing productivity. I talk to people all the time who tell me, Dre, I want to be more productive, more productive, more productive. But, and let me say and, not but, it's good to be productive as long as you're being productive as something that is getting you to the outcome that you want. That's where productivity and effectiveness meet. But if you're being productive as something that is not really effective again is based on the desired outcomes that you have, then being productive is actually hurting you, because you're putting your resources, most importantly your time, into producing something that's not taking you where you want to go. So this is where productivity can actually hurt you if you understand these words the right way. And words matter a lot over here at Work on Your Game. This is why we make sure we give definitions of things and explain things, why I'm saying this word, why I'm using the word this way. Here's how it's defined. If you're familiar with my work, then you know that I do that all the time. If you're not familiar with my work, you will get familiar with it. And we do that here all the time. We want to make sure we're clearly defining things, so that when we're talking about certain things, everybody here is on the same page. But all that said, let's recap today's masterclass, which is addition by subtraction. This is about how to improve, get better, and move forward by doing, thinking about, and being committed to fewer things that actually produce a higher rate of return, rather than more things that produce less return. Number one, identify your big domino, or dominoes. It may be more than one. Big domino is the thing that you take care of, that it takes care of all your other problems. In other words, if you had a $5,000 product, it takes care of all the problems of trying to sell your $97, your $5, and your $50 product. Why? Because you have to sell a whole bunch of those smaller ones in order to make the same amount of money you would make from selling one of the big ones. This is a mindset thing, much more than a skill thing. Number two, apply this to your mindset as well. I've written 33 books. I used to focus a lot on selling books. Now I focus more on getting people into Work on Your Game University for several reasons. One of them being the ROI from getting someone into the university is more than a multiple of selling a whole bunch of books at any time. And number two, the things that you will learn from reading one of my books, you will get a better understanding and application of it if you just work with me directly inside of Working Your Game University anyway. Not that the book is not useful, not that you shouldn't read the book, not that you can't still buy a book, but I focus more on the university because it produces a higher rate of return for me. It's a bigger domino than selling you a book. And number three, there are some things that we have accustomed ourselves to doing that we don't actually want to do, don't like to do, are not good at, and don't produce results. Anything that fits all four of those, you shouldn't be doing. If it's not producing a result, then the other three don't even matter anyway. You can love it, be great at it, and enjoy it all the time. But if it's not producing a result, why are you doing it? Assuming that you're in the same business that I'm in, which is a performance and a results-based business. So you need to be looking at examining your actions, examining your activities, and where they're actually taking you or not taking you on a regular basis to make sure that you are being effective, not just productive. Because you can be productive at something that's not really helping you, but effective is based on you actually having a desired outcome, and whatever actions you've taken are actually taking you there. So with that said, I want you to text me and let me know that you want to get the daily motivation message. Also, let me know your best insight that you got from today's masterclass. My number is 305-384-6894. And since you are now ready to work with me directly, since you heard me just give you an audition of what happens inside of Working Your Game University, and this is without me even knowing you and talking to you directly and you getting to give me some feedback on where you're at and what you're understanding here, come into Work on Your Game University. And inside that university, you will be coached by me directly. That's the only place you can be coached by me. It's the only place you'll be able to ask me questions on a regular basis. The only place I can take a look at what you're doing and give you my feedback and say, how about you change this? How about we edit this? Have you thought about this? Let's take a look at this way. Let's break this down. Let's reassess this. All of that happens inside of Work on Your Game University. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you can schedule a call with me or someone on my team, get into the university, and let's get started on taking your mindset, strategy, systems, and execution to the level that they should be at when it comes to the outcomes, the results that you want to produce in your life and in your business. Again, it's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.